Now, before we start the discussion, if there is no issue with the sound, can you please give me a thumbs up? Either say yes, alphabet S, alphabet Y, or even this will be okay. Done. Thanks a lot. And those who are saying the sound is not coming to them, only two people are saying that there is a sound issue. Either refresh the page, one of the two things. Either refresh the page, or second thing, there's a button fix audio. Fix audio button. Please hit the fix audio button. One of the two things you do it, it will work fine. Done then. Let's start. I hope all of you are doing good, studying very good, preparing very well. I'm also good, by the way. Thanks for asking. Let's start. So, welcome to the first session for Indian economy, evening class, evening batch for you. Before I start the discussion, here is a very important announcement. Before the economy module started today, there were polity classes which were conducted by Anubhav sir. So, a feedback link will be sent to you. Please provide your honest feedback. So, with that caveat, let me begin the discussion. So today is the first class. So before I begin with the discussion of the topics, etc., I just want you to understand what is expected of you in the UPSC examination. And whatever we are going to discuss in the classroom, please understand this. Whatever we are going to discuss, the topics will be for both UPSC prelims examination as well as mains examination. Right? Because many of the students will keep on asking me, sir, please tell me the list of the topics which is only relevant for prelims, only relevant for mains. Of course, yes. If you look at the trend, there are certain topics, very few of them, by the way, on which the questions are generally asked in UPSC mains. For example, if you ask me, sir, any name of the topic, there is a topic, I'll tell you later. Don't worry. On that topic, only in the mains you can get the examination. But because you've started preparing now and you have sufficient time, you have a lot of time even now. So my recommendation would be that do not try to distinguish everything into prelims and mains, etc. Try to read everything in one shot. Done? Now, before I tell you what are the topics we are going to discuss, right, which is important, which is not important, etc., why economics is important, why GS paper 3 is important. The reason is simple. If you look at economics part, or to be more precise, Indian economy part, the number of questions which are asked in prelims, that is civil services prelims examination, as well as mains examination, a lot of questions will come. If you look at that trend, please look at that trend. And by the way, if you ask me, should you by heart this particular trend? Absolutely no. Please do not by heart the trend. UPSC is not going to ask you the trend. For example, UPSC will not ask you in the civil services examination 2022, dash number of questions were asked from Indian economy in prelims. Absolutely no. So don't waste your time. What is the trend? On an average, 15 questions are asked. Is the logic okay with all of you? On an average, 15 questions are asked in civil services prelims examination. So how many were asked in 2023? Around 15 to 16 were asked purely from Indian economy. What about means? On an average, around 6 to 7 questions are asked. Around 6 to 7 questions are asked from the Indian economy part itself. And going beyond this, if you ask me, sir, only 6 to 7 questions. For that, do I need to worry so much about Indian economy? The interesting part, I'm saying interesting part. So interesting part about Indian economy is that over a period of time, there will be certain concepts which are not only coming in Indian economy, they will also come in the concept of geography. It will also come under polity. Just to give you a very simple example, when you talk about, let's say, a topic such as budget, we have not discussed it yet. Please don't worry. Don't start asking questions about budget. So if you talk about a topic such as a concept of a budget, do you think the term budget, or let's say the concept of budget, is discussed only in Indian economy? Absolutely no. No doubt, we will discuss, you will understand, etc., etc. That will also come in the concept of polity. So over a period of time, you will come to know that, okay, there is overlapping part. So whatever you read, or let's say some of the topics that you read in Indian economy, they are overlapping in other subjects as well. I'll give you one more example. There is a term called as National Infrastructure Pipeline. Please do not be worried about anything here. I'm not discussing anything. Please don't worry right now. So there is a concept under Indian economy which is called as National Infrastructure Pipeline. Couple of years ago, this was asked in the geography paper. So whatever we discuss, I hope you understand, there is an overlapping part, right? You will also have to apply this knowledge in other papers as well. So that is very important. Please remember that. So on an average, this is the trend. Do not worry about the trend. What I would recommend is Indian economy is important for prelims as well as mains. Do not ignore this subject along with all the other subjects. Even this is a very, very important subject. Now, what is the syllabus? what we'll be studying, right, in the course of, let's say, next 1 month, every day, weekdays in the evening session. So this is the list of the topics. Again, there are many other topics which are not listed yet, but we'll discuss it. Please don't worry. For example, if you look at the concept of inclusive growth, a couple of minutes ago I said there are certain topics on which questions will be asked only in the mains. So some of the students started asking, sir, in that case, tell me which topic is it, which will appear only in the mains. This is one topic, inclusive growth. So the concept of inclusive growth, right? This generally is not touched in UPSC prelims examination. Right? It's never touched in the prelims examination. The questions will come only in the mains examination. That has been the trend of UPSC. But again, I hope you understand this is the trend. Can UPSC change the system tomorrow itself? Of course, yes. Of course, yes. For example, I'll tell you one more topic. Can you see this particular topic? Banking, RBI, and NBFC. The concept of banking, RBI, and NBFC. The questions from the banking chapter generally do not appear in mains examination. They do not appear in the mains examination. Where do they appear then? Around 4 to 5 questions will come from this chapter itself. That is banking, RBI. And within that also, the most important one is Reserve Bank of India, RBI, Reserve Bank of India. So this is a list of the topics. Many of you are asking, should we remember the names of all the topics? Please don't waste your time. Do not waste your time. Do not start asking questions within the list of the topics. For example, some of the students are asking, sir, you have written the term inclusive growth. Define inclusive growth. My dear, we will do that. I hope you understand. We'll do that. It's like when you open a book, there is an index provided in the beginning. All of you have seen a book, right? There is an index provided in the beginning. Chapters are not discussed in the index. It's just an indication. So I hope you understand. There's a list of the topics. Do not worry. We'll take up each of the topic individually and we'll discuss all the topics individually. Done? So this is the list of the topics. Please go through this. Do not by heart the list. Do not waste your time. UPSC will not ask you to list out. Okay? Now, what about the references? Many of you are asking references. What about the references then? This is the list of the references. Okay, this is a list of the references. Now, please understand this. Generally, most of the subjects, not all of them, most of the subjects in UPSC examination are divided into two parts. One we call it as a static part, correct? And the other one is dynamic part. Anybody who is hearing the term for the first time? One is called as a static part and the other one is called as a dynamic part. In simple terms, static means whatever comes in the books. Whatever comes in the books, whatever is there in the book. Second, dynamic means whatever comes in the current affairs. Those who are saying, sir, this is my first class ever, I'm telling you about it now. Whatever comes in the current affairs, we call it as dynamic part. And whatever is there in the books, we call it as a static part. Okay. Now, for Indian economy, both the parts are very, very important. Very, very important. Why? Many of the times, questions have come from the static part. That is purely from the textbook. Purely from the textbook, they have picked up the question. So which textbook should I refer to? Any one reference book is okay. Any one, right? I hope you understand my point. Any one reference book is okay. Sir, I have Ramesh Singh. Is it sufficient? Okay, go ahead with that. Sir, I have Mr. Sanjeev Verma's book. Is it sufficient? Go ahead with that. Any one standard book is sufficient. Please do not waste your time in reading 3 books, 4 books, 5 books, 6 books. Please don't waste your time. Only one standard book is more than sufficient for your preparation for Indian economy. But some of you will ask me, sir, this is for the first time that I'm hearing the term economics. I'm very much afraid of economics, right? I'm basically afraid of economics. The moment I hear the term economics or Indian economy, I'll start shivering, I'll start sweating. In that case, what should I do? In that case, start with NCERTs. Very simple. In that case, start with NCERT, right? Sir, some of you are asking, sir, what about Nitin Singhania book? Do that. Only one book, but please understand my point. What about Nitin Singhania book? Okay, you have that book. Please read that. Only one book. More than sufficient. Underline that particular point. More than sufficient. Now, if you are going to ask me, is there any book which you can call it as a best book? Please understand. No. You cannot simply call one book as a best book. For example, I'll tell you why. If you purchase any book for that matter, there are some books where the number of pages are very less. And there are certain books where the number of pages are 800, 900. Now you think of it, and generally many people, including me, believe that, or let's say, right, think like that only. Our thinking is that if the number of pages of the books are large, or many, we come to an understanding, okay, this is a better book. But is it true? I hope you understand. Is it true? Absolutely no. So I hope you understand the point here. According to your requirement, take any one book, read that more than sufficient. And in that book also, please don't read from first page to last page. You are simply wasting your time. Why? There are a lot of topics which have no relevance to UPSC, which are put into that particular book. In that case, sir, how should I understand what to read, what to not read? Whatever we cover in the classroom, if that is there in the book, please read that. Is it okay? All of you are following my point? Whatever we cover in the classroom, if it is there in the book, cover that. But more importantly, update that with current affairs. Update that with current affairs. Because trust me, Indian economy, if you are good with your current affairs, it is very easy to score, both prelims as well as mains. I hope you understand. Indian economy, easy to score, provided you are good with your current affairs. So in that case, how many months current affairs should I prepare? I would recommend 15 months, 12 to 15 months. 12 to 15 months. Please remember this, 12 to 15 months prior to examination date. For example, let's say next year, May. If the exams are there in the next year, May, then 12 to 15 months prior to next year, May, I would recommend start preparing from that. Okay. Now, NCERTs, which NCERTs? These are the 4 NCERTs. If you do not have any exposure to Indian economy, and if you feel Indian economy is very difficult to understand, economics is very difficult to comprehend, then I would recommend please read these 4 NCERTs. 4 NCERTs. Class 12th macroeconomics, class 11th Indian economic development, class 10th understanding economic development, class 9th economics. These are the 4 books, right? Please read these particular 4 books, NCERT books, free of a cost. These are available in PDF form. You can use them. Done, right? So standard book, any one standard book, current affairs, newspaper, as well as magazine. Now, many of you are asking which is the best magazine, which is the best newspaper. Again, the argument remains simple. Most of you are reading Hindu. I know that, right? Because you have been told Hindu is the best. You have been trained to read Hindu, etc. Read it. I don't have any problem. But my argument is very simple. If you are reading Hindu, along with Hindu, read any business-related newspaper every day. Is it okay? Am I clear to all of you? If you're reading Hindu newspaper, read it. Absolutely no problem. But along with Hindu, please read one additional business-related newspaper. Anyone. Business Standard, Financial Express, Mint, right? Or for that matter, there is a Business Line. Anyone, Economic Times, anyone you read every day. Stick to one plus Hindu. And my recommendation is for Indian economy, even that additional newspaper, please do not spend too much of money and as well as time. If you want Financial Express basically is available free of a cost online. You can spend, let's say, 15 to 20 minutes every day on that. Not more than that, simple waste of your time. Done? But to make it easier for you people, I'll give you one exercise every week. To make it easier for you people, for the next 5 weeks, as long as I'm going to take your classes, every week I'll give you one assignment. What is the assignment? At the end of the week, that is, let's say, Friday evening session, I will give you a compilation of, let's say, around 10 to 15 articles related to whatever we have covered in the past week. But please understand, it is not for me. I'm giving it for your benefit. Those articles, I'll pick it up from all the business-related newspapers, such as Business Line, Economic Times, Mint newspaper, Business Standard, etc. So I'll give you a compilation of around 5 to 6 newspaper articles which are relevant to you as per the syllabus covered in the last week. But you will have to read them. Don't ask me to read. I have read them. That's the only reason I know those are important for you. I will give you them, but it is your duty to read those articles. And then you can give me a feedback, whether this article was relevant, not relevant, am I wasting your time, right, etc., etc. Please provide your feedback. I'm open to honest feedback. Okay, done. So with this caveat, let me start the discussion. Okay, let me start the discussion. So today we'll start with the introduction to economics. So let's start. Now, this will be the general practice. Whenever I start a new chapter, I'll tell you the list of the topics I'm going to cover or subtopics I'm going to cover. Then we're going to start. So this is a list of the topics I'm going to cover in this chapter. And at the end of this chapter, we'll take up questions. We'll have a discussion. Regarding what kind of questions have appeared in the past couple of years in UPSC prelims as well as mains from this chapter itself. Okay, now let's start. Let me start with the definition. Most of you will be afraid of defining economics. So let me start with the definition itself. So how do you define economics? How do you define the term economics? There are hundreds of definitions which have been provided. Point number one. Point number two, do you need to remember all the 100 definitions? No. Point number three, do you need to remember even this definition? Not necessarily. Right? The reason is simple. UPC so far has never asked a student to define economics, a student to define polity, a student to define geography. Although, I hope you understand. Let me start with the definition. How do you define economics? Economics is the science which deals with human behavior in relation to scarce means and ends. I'll explain. Please listen carefully. What is economics? It is defined in one way, most acceptable way. That is, it is a science which deals with human behavior in relation to scarce means and ends. What do you mean by that? Let me start with a very simple example. Couple of days ago, that is, most of you, I'm pretty sure, would have received salary yesterday, correct? Those who are working professionals, you would have received your salary yesterday because Sunday was holiday, Monday was the second, Sunday was the first, Monday was the second, which was again a public holiday. So yesterday, Tuesday, you must have received the salary. Now, please tell me, salary if you have received, or even before that also if you have received, very good. I don't have any problem with that. But please think of it. Don't you think the amount of money that you have is limited? Anybody in the classroom who says, sir, the amount of money that I have is unlimited? Anybody? Please do let me know. In that case, if you have unlimited amount of money, then my immediate question will be, sir, why are you studying UPSC then? So the amount of money you have is limited, right? Whether it could be 1 lakh rupees, 50,000 rupees, or 2 lakh, whatever it is. But don't you think with that limited amount of money, the amount of money that you have is limited, you are supposed to purchase, let's say, the food grains, you are supposed to purchase petrol for your car or diesel for your car, you are supposed to pay for your books, you are supposed to pay for rent, you are supposed to pay for electricity bill, phone bill, etc., etc. So in that case, can I say the resources means anything that you have using which you will purchase something, you will produce something in the market. So the resources that you have are limited in nature. I'll give you one more parallel example. You want to produce, let's say, certain goods. Imagine you start a new company. You want to manufacture a particular good. Now, please tell me, don't you think in that particular situation, if you want to produce this particular bottle, the amount of resources, the amount of money you have is limited, right? So I hope you understand the argument here. Resource simply means whatever inputs we are using to produce something, to purchase something. So the basic idea of economics is the resources that we have are very much limited. Scarce means limited. So because the resources are very much limited, how do we use the resources? How do we allocate the resources? What do we purchase? How much do we purchase? The study of this behavior is called as economics. Is everyone okay with the definition? Anybody has a problem? Please do let me know. I'll repeat it again. The resources that we have are always limited. Because we have limited resources, how do we use them? How do we allocate them? The behavioral study is called as economics. In that case, even Government of India, don't you think how much money Government of India, how much money they have is limited amount of money? Because some of you will tell me now, sir, but Government of India can keep on printing money. Absolutely no. Some of you will ask me, sir, why do you give an example of government? Government has all the powers. They can keep endlessly printing money. No, that will create imbalance in the economy. How, etc. We'll discuss that later. So even Government of India has limited amount of money. So using limited amount of money, they want to construct road. They want to, right, provide welfare to the people. They want to provide subsidies to the people. So the ends means what we want to achieve. So whatever we want to achieve, how do we allocate the limited resources we have? That study is called as economics. Is it okay? Now some of you are asking, why do they don't keep on printing money? The reason is there is a term called as inflation. Now many of you will start asking me questions about inflation. Please do not worry. Right? Please listen to me very carefully. The only reason I did not use the term inflation was I'm not yet covered inflation. I'll cover it. Don't worry. I don't want you to panic today itself. So if Government of India continuously keeps on printing money, that will cause inflation. There's a problem that will arise. That's the reason they will not print the unlimited amount of money. This is basically the definition. Now, the economics is generally divided into two parts. Economics, it's a study. Please understand. Now, before I go forward, many of you ask me to give the difference between economy and economics. I'm writing two terms here. Many of you ask me, sir, then what is the basic idea or the difference between the term economy and economics? I hope you understand the difference here. Please understand. Economy refers to a country. Economy refers to a system, a country. For example, we'll say Indian economy. We'll say Japanese economy, Chinese economy. We are referring to a particular country, a system. Whereas economics is the study. All of you okay with this? Right? Economics is the study, behavioral study. So the term economy refers to a system. Economics refers to a subject. Now, economics is further divided into two parts. One is called as a microeconomics. Second one is called as a macroeconomics. Now, let me start with a basic example. Let me start with a very basic example. And before I start, always try to make the subject simple. I hope you understand my point here. Try to make it simple with examples. Try to understand the examples. That's more important. Okay. Now let me start with a very simple example here. Imagine there is a country. Okay. Imagine there is a country. There is economy. And in this particular economy, what I'm doing is I'm basically looking at two systems, right? One, there is individuals. Okay. There are individuals, people. Individuals are nothing but people, just like you and me. There are houses, there are, let's say, companies. Okay, there are individuals, there are houses, and there are companies. Now, there are two ways to look at them. One, I will look at the whole of this structure in one way. Whole of the structure means I will consider the individuals in the economy. I'll take into consideration the houses in the economy. I'll take into consideration even the companies in the economy. Now, whenever you look at the whole system, I repeat, whenever you look at the whole system, that study is called as macroeconomics. Is it okay? I'll repeat it again. Whenever you look at the whole system means what? Let's say hypothetically, you will study what is happening to, right, let's say agriculture sector. You will study what is happening to, let's say, right, the companies in India. You will study what is happening to houses in India. So you are focused on the whole, all the entities, all the individual units, all of them are being considered for study purposes. That is called as macroeconomics. Whereas on the other side, let's say you will take only one individual, one house, right? You will take only one individual and you will start studying what is the income of the individual. What is the demand done for goods by this individual? What kind of goods are consumed by this individual? Whether the individual has a salary or not. So I hope you understand. In this second example, we are not taking the whole system. We are considering individual units in the system or individual agents in the system. Whenever you take individual agents in the system and study, that is called as microeconomics. Any difficulty here? Please do let me know. I'll repeat it again. Right? So have a look at this. The table is given. Whenever you look at the whole system, that is the whole economy you are going to study, right? For example, Indian economy. You'll start studying the whole Indian economy. That is called as macroeconomics. Whereas if you start looking at only individual units, you will take, let's say, company, and you'll start studying about the company. How many people are employed in the company? What is their salary, right? Etc. What kind of goods will the company produce, etc. If you start studying about company, if you start studying about one house, etc., individual units in the economy, that is called as microeconomics. Is the concept okay with all of you? Now, think of it. Which one do you think? Please think. I'll answer it. Don't worry. But I want you to participate. This is generally how I conduct my classes. I want the students to participate. Think of it and do let me know which one do you think is more important for you to become an IAS officer or IAS officer or a bureaucrat, whatever it is. Which one do you think to pass the UPSC examination? Which one do you think is more important? Right? Macroeconomics is more important. Macro. Even if you read newspapers, macro is important. Again, please understand. If you want to conduct policies, both are needed. But for becoming UPSC clearing UPSC examination, which is more important? Macroeconomics is important. Once you become an IAS officer, definitely yes. Imagine, let's say hypothetically, you become, right, let's say the secretary in the commerce department. Let's hope so, right? Or let's wish all of you become secretaries or at one or the other level. You become secretaries. Right? There will be a lot of experts who are going to report to you. So basically what you're doing is you're making policies for the whole economy. So I hope you understand, for exam purposes, macro is important. For exam purposes, macro is very, very important. Even if you look at the topics, what kind of topics are there? Budget. Are you talking about budget of individual houses? Are you talking about budget of company? No, you're talking about budget of whole Indian economy. I hope you understand this. Inflation. Are you talking about individual houses? How much it is getting affected? No, you're talking about whole Indian economy, right? So international trade for that matter. So whatever topics are there, most of them are related to macroeconomics. Macro, right? So macroeconomics is very, very important. Again, I'll repeat the definition. Macro is the study of economy as a whole, whereas micro is study of individual units, right? We are focused on individual demand, individual supply, whereas in macro, the aggregate simply means total. There's a term aggregate here. Many of you will start asking me, what do you mean by aggregate? Aggregate means total demand in the economy, total supply in the economy, etc., etc. So main tools for micro as well as a macro are basically demand as well as supply. We'll discuss law of demand, law of supply after some time. Okay, so these are basically the introduction points to the definition of economics. Now let me go forward. Now. What is the use of studying micro? I'll tell you. Don't worry. Please understand, both micro and macro both are connected. I hope you understand. There are two very important reasons. One, both micro and macro both are connected to each other. Sir, how? Let me give a very simple example. During pandemic, people lost jobs. All of you will agree with me. So if you talk about individual house, the income earned by the houses came down. Individual people or individuals lost the job. So if you study microeconomics, right, in that particular unit, the demand went down, right? The incomes went down, salaries went down, etc. But what is the basic connection between micro and macro? Basic connection is, if you look at individual houses and study, you will call it as micro. But what if I study total, that is all the houses in India? If I take all the houses in India, don't you think you will get, right, the demand for goods and services in the Indian economy? So there is a connection between both micro and macro. Both are connected, right? So that is first importance. Second importance, why should you study micro? Couple of questions have been asked by UPSC examination, especially in the prelims examination on microeconomics. Am I clear to all of you? Couple of questions, right, sir? How often it is asked? Right, once every 2 years, once every 3 years, here and there, suddenly a term from microeconomics is picked up by UPSC and they will ask you a question on it. So that is the precise reason. Certain important basics of microeconomics I'll teach you, don't worry. Okay, now let me go to the next concept of 4 factors of production. 4 factors of production. Now, what is this factors of production? Let me start with the beginning point here. Start with the basics. Please tell me, imagine you want to manufacture this bottle. Will you require certain inputs? Will you require certain raw materials or not? Let me start. You only tell me. Right, today you decide, right, forget about UPSC, I'll start manufacturing bottles. Will you require inputs or not? Of course, yes. For example, some of you will say, sir, I will require plastic. Correct. Some of you will say, I will require machine. Absolutely correct. Some of you will say, I'll require steel for this. Absolutely correct. So I hope you understand this. For producing anything in the economy, for producing anything, for example, the laptop that you're using, or the mobile that you're using, or the tablet that you're using, that is also a good that is produced. So for production of that as well, you will require something. Inputs, we'll call it as inputs. Resources are required. Now think of it. These resources, I repeat, these resources, what we do is we'll call them as factors of production. Anybody has a problem with this? I'll repeat it. Whatever inputs or resources are required for producing anything in the economy, these are called as factors. The inputs which are required are called as factors of production. Now, the factors of production in economics are generally divided into 4 parts. This is my second point. The factors of production are divided, are classified into 4 types. Hence, we call them as 4 factors of production. What are these 4 factors of production? One is called as land. Second one is called as labor. Third one is capital. And the fourth one is entrepreneurship. I'll explain one by one. Listen to me very carefully. Listen to me carefully. I'll repeat the whole process again here. For producing anything in the economy, we will require certain resources or inputs. These inputs are divided into 4 types. Hence, we call it as 4 factors of production. These 4 factors of production are land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Now, what do you mean by land? Point number 1. What do you mean by land? Anything that is available naturally to us. Is it okay? I'll repeat it again. Anything that is available naturally to us, it is called as land. For example, minerals that are available. Right? All of you will agree with me. Minerals are available in the earth crust or below the earth crust, wherever they are available. Right? So minerals that are available to us, or for that matter, the piece of land on which you will construct, let's say, a manufacturing facility, that is also available, that is present in the nature. So anything that is naturally, which is available in the nature, it is called as land. Right? Point number one. Point number two, labor. Labor means people. Right? For example, tomorrow you might become an entrepreneur, or let's say an industrialist, businessman. You might open a manufacturing facility, and I will work for you. I will produce goods in your factory. So I hope you understand labor. Second one is labor. Is it okay? So first one is land, second one is labor. Third one, capital. Please understand this very carefully. Capital. What do you mean by the term capital here? Right? Stick to this particular definition. Many of the times the term capital is used in multiple contexts. I'll repeat my statement. The term capital is used in different contexts, in different meanings are there in different contexts. Right? Because many of you are answering to me right now, sir, capital means money. Not necessarily. For example, please understand this. Slightly technical, please understand this. If you use the term capital, if you are using the term capital in the context of a bank, if you're talking about a bank and you say capital, so basically for a bank, capital means money. All of you are okay with this? Capital of a bank, right? Capital of this, capital of that, etc. They use the term money, right, in that particular context. But here, please understand this. Here, whenever I use the term capital, it doesn't mean money. It actually means the assets created by us. The assets which are created by man-made assets are called as capital. Many of you ask me, sir, why? Why do you use the term man-made asset or anything that is created by humans, right? Which we are using in the production process is called as capital. What do you mean by that? I'll give a very simple example. Imagine you have 100 rupees. Let's say, imagine you have 100 rupees. Now, don't you think you will use 100 rupees to purchase machine and machine will be used to manufacture this bottle? Is the logic okay with all of you? I'll repeat it again. Imagine you have 100 rupees. I'll not say 2000 rupee note. Although till 7th it is available, I'll not say 2000 because almost demonetized. Almost. Right? So you have 100 rupee. Can you use 100 rupees to directly manufacture this bottle? Think of it. Can you use 100 rupee? Directly 100 rupee can be converted into bottle. No, you can't do that. You will use 100 rupee to purchase machine. And this machine will be used to manufacture bottle. So this machine, is it available naturally? Now think of it. Is it available in nature? No. We are manufacturing machines. We are creating machines. So can I call this as anything that is produced by humans? All of you okay? Anything that is produced by humans, which is used for production purpose, it is called as, right, the capital. Can I go forward now? Let me know. And I use the term assets. I use the term asset. Asset means what? There are two terms. Please remember this. One is called as an asset and the other one is called as a liability. Asset means anything that is expected to get returns to you. Anything that will fetch returns to you, that is called as an asset. On the other side, liability means anything that will lead to payment from your side, it is called as a liability. All of you okay with this? I'll repeat it again. Asset means what? Anything that will give you returns, anything that will fetch money to you, that is called as asset. Whereas a liability means anything that will make you pay money, anything that will lead money payment from your side, it is called as a liability. I'll give a very simple example. Imagine you have gold. Right? Now think of it. You have gold, 1 kg of gold. Right? Although many people have 1 kg of gold. Let's say hypothetically, enjoy. You have 1 kg of gold. Think of it. This 1 kg of gold, will it get money to you or not? Will it get returns to you or not when you sell it in the market? That's the reason it is called as asset. On the other side, you have 1 crore worth of loan. You have taken 1 crore worth of loan from a bank. Don't you think this 1 crore rupee loan becomes a liability for you? That is, you will have to make the payment in the future. So anything that gets returns to you is called as an asset. Anything that will lead to payment from your side is called as a liability. Okay. Now let me ask you a very simple question. A bank deposit, whatever deposit is it? Don't worry. A bank deposit for a customer, is it an asset or liability? Bank deposit for a customer, is it asset or a liability? All of you will agree it is an asset. Can I also ask you one more question related to the same thing? A bank deposit for a bank, is it asset or liability? Second question. A bank deposit for a bank, is it asset or liability? All of you okay? It's a liability. For a bank, please understand, some of you are still saying asset. Wrong, my dear. If you are keeping, let's say, 1 crore rupee with the bank has to return it to you. So it's a liability for a bank. All of you okay with this? Right? If you keep 1 crore rupee with the bank has to give it back to you. It is a liability for a bank. Again, please understand, sir, why are you discussing all of this? We will use all of them in the future. It's not that today it's done and dusted, it's of no use. Again, in the future classes, we'll use all of it. Right? So remember it. Now let me get back to the point at hand here. Capital means what? Capital means anything that is, or assets which are created by humans, which are further used in the production process. It could be a machine, it could be a manufacturing facility, it could be various types of infrastructure. All of them will help us in further production and a sale of goods in the market. Okay, that is called as capital. And the fourth type is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship means what? Think of it. Don't you think there should be someone who will put together labor, who will put together right machineries, who will purchase a land, invest money, and start producing goods or services? Is the logic okay with all of you? Somebody has to be there. Somebody has to become the investor, has to become the owner, who will put money, purchase machine, who will hire people, who will purchase raw materials, and has to manufacture, sell it in the market. The person who will start the business, he is referred to, or she is referred to, as entrepreneur. Is it okay? The person who will start the business, right? He or she is referred to as entrepreneur. Okay, so the one who will take risk, who will invest money, who will put together all the remaining three factors of production, he is or she is referred to as entrepreneur. So all of you okay with all the four factors of production? One is called as a land. Many of you ask me, sir, agriculture output. Agriculture output is done by humans. My dear, please understand this. Even before we started cultivating, were the food grains naturally available or not? Think of it. Many of you will simply say, hey, sir, agriculture output. How can you say we are cultivating it? You don't cultivate it, my dear. But tell me, naturally, is it going to, right, automatically, is the crops going to grow or not? In nature, I'm asking. So I hope you understand. So land, anything that is naturally available. Second, labor, that is you and me, the people who are going to work. Third one is capital, anything that is produced by us, that is asset, which will be further used in the production. That is called as capital. And the fourth one is entrepreneur. It is basically referring to the person. Many are asking, what is entrepreneurship? The person who will put money, who will invest money, take the risk, and start manufacturing process. Right? That person is called as entrepreneur. All of you okay with this? Done. So these are called as four factors of production. What do you mean by machines here? My dear, haven't you seen machines? Machines which are used for production of bottle, machines which are used for production of mobile phones, machines which are used for production of this marker, etc. So machines are any equipment that is used in a factory to produce goods. That is a very generic term. The term machines is a very generic term. Okay. So let me start. Next, what is the importance of all of this? Very important. Please understand this carefully. Now, we have discussed the concept of factors of production. Okay. We have discussed the factors of production. Now, whenever we talk about factors of production, please understand this very carefully. Can I say factors of production are used by the company to produce goods and services? I'll repeat the statement here. Pitch in. Please let me know. Can I say four factors of production are used by the company to produce goods and services? Are consumed by the company to produce goods and services? For example, sir, what do you mean by that? Let me give a very simple example. Let's say here is a company. This company will purchase, right? Let's say factor of production, produce goods and services, sell it in the market. It could be land, it could be labor, it could be capital, etc. Even it could be entrepreneurship. So it will basically consume these factors of production, produce, sell it in the market. Remember that. First point. Point number two. Out of this, let me take one of the factors of production. That is, let's say, labor. Labor is a factor of production. It's an input. So company will use the labor services, will use the input, that is a labor services. For having used the labor services, the company will pay wages, or let's say salary of 100 rupee to the labor. Step 1 is very simple. Company will use the labor services, and step 2 is company will pay salary or wage to the labor. Now come to the step 2. Come to the step 2. Many of the students get confused here. Listen carefully. In the step 2, can I say 100 rupee is the income of the worker, and same 100 rupee is the expenditure incurred by the company. I'll repeat it again. Listen to me very carefully. Okay. Once you understand, it's very easy. It's very easy. The 100 rupee, look at it in the step 2. Can I say it is income earned by the labor, and same 100 rupee is the expenditure incurred by the company. So rather than using these terms, I'll start saying this 100 rupee is the factor cost paid by the company, and same 100 rupee is the factor income earned by the labor. Anybody has a difficulty here? The 100 rupee is the factor cost for the company, and 100 rupee is the factor income for the labor. Right? Any problem? Now, what is the use of this? Look at the table. Please look at the table. So for labor, the wage paid or the salary paid, I will call it as a factor cost, and the wage earned by the labor, I'll call it as a factor income. And many of you are asking, sir, why are you using the term factor? My dear, labor. What is labor? Can I say this is nothing but input? That is the reason I'm starting with basics now. Right? What is labor? Labor is nothing but input, and input is nothing but a factor. So on labor, if the company will incur an expenditure, company will incur a cost of 100 rupee, can I call it as a factor cost? Is it okay? And the 100 rupee earned by the labor is factor. So can I call it as a factor income? Same. So I hope you understand. For labor, wage or salary is a factor cost. Same wage or salary is the factor income. For land, whatever is naturally available, please understand this. Whatever is naturally available, whenever company will purchase it, company will have to pay money. That I will call it as rent. All of you okay with this? I'll repeat it again. Whatever is naturally available, company will have to purchase it. So when company will purchase, company will pay money. I'll call this as rent. And right, let's say I'll take a very simple example. I'm a company, I'll purchase something from you. Let's say land only. Or I'll purchase, right, let's say minerals. So you will sell it to me. I will pay money to you. So this money, I will call it as rent. And you have earned the money by selling that mineral to me. You have earned money. I will call this as factor income. Anybody has a problem here? Let me know. Anybody has a problem? What do you mean by income? My dear, earnings. Earnings are called as income. Let me take another example. Forget about this. Let me take another example. Tomorrow you will become IAS officers. Not literally. Tomorrow you will become IAS officers. Okay. You will provide services to Government of India. Correct? At the end of the month, you will receive a salary of 1 lakh rupees. Can I call it as your income? All of you okay with this? Can I call it as your income? But for Government of India, can I call it as expenditure? Think of it. It's basically how the economy works. Right? There is a very famous statement. Somebody's expenditure is somebody else's income. I'll repeat the statement. This is how the economy works actually. I'll give you many examples, day-to-day examples I'll give you. One's expenditure, that is somebody's expenditure, is somebody else's income. For example, sir, how? You will go to a restaurant. You will order for food. You will consume food. You will pay money. For you, it is an expenditure. All of you okay with this? For you, it is an expenditure, cost for you. But for the owner of the restaurant, can I call it as income? So I hope you understand. You'll order something in Dunzo. You'll order something on Blinkit, etc., etc. For you, it is an expenditure. For them, it is an income. So in the same way, you are having minerals. You will sell it to me. So I will pay money to you. So that is your income. I will call it as rent. All of you okay with this? Let me know. I will call it as rent. And on the other side, for me, it is an expenditure. Right? So I'll call it as rent. Right? So first one is a land. So factor cost is rent and income is rent. Second one is a labor. Factor cost is wages. Factor income is wages. Come to the third one, capital. Imagine I'm manufacturing this bottle, right? I'm manufacturing this bottle. I will purchase machine. All of you okay? I will purchase a machine. And when I purchase a machine, should I pay money for the machine or not? Let me know. Should I pay money for the machine or not? Of course, yes. I will have to pay my purchase to purchase machine. So the money that I spend on capital, I repeat, the money that I spend on capital is called as interest. Any problem with the term interest? Many of you will say, sir, interest, don't go to bank. Many of you will take the term interest, go to the banking concept and start asking me, what is this interest? Is the loan given, etc., etc. Don't worry about it. You will purchase a machine. That is capital to manufacture bottle. For that, you will have to pay money. I will call this as interest. And somebody else who has sold the machine to you, that is also capital for them. They have sold machine to you. So the money that they will earn, it is called as again interest. So third one is capital. Fourth one, entrepreneurship. Many of the students get stuck up here, confused here. Let me ask you a very simple question. You start a company. Why? Think of it and let me know. You start a company to manufacture this bottle. Tell me why. What is the reason? Why will you start the company? All of you will say, sir, to earn profit. Anybody in the classroom who says, sir, I don't want any profit, to incur losses, I'll start the company. Right? Anybody in the classroom? Absolutely not. To earn profit. That is the agenda. That is the whole and soul of a capitalism. So you will start a company, you are the entrepreneur. So any profits of the company should belong to whom? Let me know. The company, whatever profits the company will earn, should belong to whom? Is it okay? The profits of the company should belong to the owner. Right? The entrepreneur is the owner. So profits of the company will be counted as income for the entrepreneur. But because the profits are transferred from the company, are basically taken from the company, given to the owner, we'll call it as a cost for the company. Anybody has a difficulty here? Please do let me know. Anybody has a difficulty? We are taking the profits from the company. It is outflow of money. Can I call it as a cost for the company? Think of it. Here is a company. Here is the owner. So company has earned, let's say 1 crore rupee profit. I will take 1 crore rupee from the company, give it to the owner of the company. So whenever money will be taken, money will go out like this. Can I call it as cost for the company? But on the other side, owner, entrepreneur has earned profit. Can I call it as income for the entrepreneur? Is the logic okay with all of you? Is the logic okay? Can we go forward? What is the difference between factor cost and factor income? My dear, factor cost and factor income, both numbers are one and the same. Number. For example, earlier I took the example of wages or salary. The government will give you 1 lakh rupee salary. Think of it. The government will give you 1 lakh rupee salary. The number is the same, 1 lakh rupee, but you have received it. It becomes a factor income for you. All of you okay? You have received it. It becomes a factor income for you. Government has paid it. Government has given it. So it becomes a factor cost for the government. Any problem? Any problem with this again? Salary is wage or profit? My dear, listen to me very carefully. No, salary is given to owners. Sorry, salary is given to employees. Profit is given to owners. So I hope you understand the difference between both of them there itself. Salary or wages are given to employees, whereas profits are given to owners. So entrepreneurship is different, right? Labor is different. So labor will earn a salary, owners will earn profit. Is the logic okay? Okay. Done. Entrepreneur. Okay. I'll repeat it again. The one who will start the business is called as entrepreneur. Is the point okay with all of you? I'll repeat it again. The one who will invest and start the business is called as entrepreneur. Owner of the company is the entrepreneur. Point number 2. Whatever are the profits of the company, are given to the owner of the company. It makes perfect sense. At least this point makes perfect sense. Whatever the profits of the company are given to owners of the company. Now imagine there is a company like this. Okay. You started a company. There is a company X which you have started. The company has earned a profit of 1 crore. You are the owner of the company. So I will simply take this 1 crore, give it to the owner. Give this 1 crore to the owner of the company. So because the money has transferred like this, I will call this 1 crore as the cost for the company, because the company is paying cost for the company. and the owner is earning money, I'll call this as income for the owner. Done? Right? It's basic idea, right? Do not complicate it. Can we go forward now? Now, this is basically the concept. Remember this, right? Remember this. We'll use it again when I take up GDP, right? Tomorrow, day after tomorrow, we'll discuss GDP. We will require this all over again. Please remember the concept. Now, let me go to the next one. Evolution of economics. Evolution. There are three systems. One is called as capitalism. Second one is called as socialism. Third one is called as a mixed economy. One is capitalism. Second one is socialism. Third one is called as mixed economy. Now, what's the basic idea? What are the examples? Are there pure countries with pure capitalism? Where does India fall, etc., etc.? Let's try and understand. And is it important for UPSC? Yes. Earlier in the mains examination, a question was asked on this line. Please be very careful. Already a question on this line has been asked. Now, let me start with examples. Mixed economy, best example is India. India is a mixed economy. Right? Once we got the independence, after getting independence, 1947, in the year 1948, Government of India announced that India will be a mixed economy. Now, what is a country with socialism? Is there any country with pure socialism? Right? You do not have countries with pure socialism, pure. There are certain countries which are very close to socialism, very close to socialism. For example, Venezuela, Cuba, Venezuela, earlier China, right, or Soviet Union, very close to socialism. Right? Today we do not have pure socialistic economies. Third one is capitalism. Any country which is very close to capitalism, USA. USA is very close to capitalism. But what is the basic idea? Why do we say this country is capitalistic? Or why do we say this policy is capitalistic? How do we differentiate? Let's try and understand. Now, to make it easier, I've given a table, but let me take up individually all of them and let's critically evaluate the models. Understand what is it and let's critically evaluate the models. Let's start with capitalism. What is the basic idea for capitalism? Basic idea is, do you remember 4 factors of production? Let me know. Do you remember 4 factors of production? Couple of minutes ago we have discussed land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. Now, if in the economy, if the producer is private sector, that is private sector will decide what to produce, how much to produce, at what prices to sell, etc. Meaning, who will control land as a factor of production, who will control labor as a factor of production, who is going to invest in the economy. If it is done by the private sector, very simple. If it is done by the private sector, for example, private sector will decide what goods should be produced. Private sector will decide how many goods should be produced, at what prices to be sold, where it will be sold, etc. If everything is done by the private sector, then such a model is called as capitalism. Anybody has a problem with the basic definition of capitalism? Please do let me know. Right? The basic idea is in capitalism, there is a concept called as problems in the economy or central problems of economy. What is the central problem? What to produce, how much to produce, where to sell. These are called as problems in the economy. If private sector will find a solution, will give the answer to all of it. Private sector will decide what to produce. Private sector will decide how much to produce. That model is called as capitalism. What are the features? Private ownership will be allowed. Private investment will be there. Private sector will control labor. Private sector will control investment. Private ownership will be there. Second, the private sector will have all the freedom to produce whatever they want to. And just think of it. Don't you think if freedom is given to private sector, in the process of earning more and more profit, because ultimately at the end of the day, private sector will produce for profit. Don't you think because of this model, there will be certain goods which will be produced, which are harmful for all of us? Is the logic okay? Right? Because there is a freedom. Private sector will produce everything. They will decide what to produce. Sir, any example? Tobacco products. What about liquor products? Alcohol. Right? What about guns? What about weapons? Right? So I hope you understand these are harmful to us. But because there's a freedom to the private sector, in order to earn profit, they will end up producing such harmful goods and supplying them. Right? So freedom to produce, sell, as well as purchase. Please remember the third point as well. In capitalism, even the consumers will have the freedom to purchase. What do you mean by freedom to purchase? Let me take one example. Let me take one example. Imagine in a country where government will decide everything. I'll come to that as well. Imagine in a country where government will decide everything, what to produce, how much to produce, etc. If the government will decide to stop producing tobacco products, if government will decide that henceforth no tobacco products, no one will produce or no one will sell them in the market, even though you have money, will you have freedom to purchase tobacco product in such an economy? Think of it. Even though you have money, you can simply say, this is my hard earned money. Does it mean in this situation you'll be able to purchase tobacco, you'll be able to purchase cigarettes, etc.? No, because there is no freedom in terms of purchasing. Limited freedom is there. Whatever is available, you purchase it. But in capitalism, no, you will decide because you have money, purchasing power is there, companies will produce because you have money, you are demanding goods and services in the market. All of you okay with this? Right? Because think of it, does it make logically any sense to produce a good which has no demand in the market? Is the logic okay? Does it make any sense to produce a good which doesn't have any demand in the market? Absolutely no. Right? For example, let's say you're producing this bottle. Nobody is purchasing this bottle. There's no demand in the market for this bottle. Then why are you producing? You are not the government. Why are you producing it? You're private sector. You want to incur losses. You will stop the production. That's it. So there is a freedom to produce, freedom to purchase as well as sell. Role of the government is very minimal, very minimal. I'll not say there is no government. Role of the government is very minimal. Minimal in the sense, government is that government will make policies to promote private sector. That is the role of the government. Very, very minimal role. Right? Profit motive is the agenda. That is the central theme of capitalism is profit motive. Everybody that is profit, private sector company is producing, selling to earn profit. That is basically the objective in the capitalism. What are the merits of such a model? What are the merits of such a model? One, there is no need for government intervention in the economy because private sector is there. Think of it. If private sector is there, don't you think because of competition, that's very important. Because of competition, role of the government will not be there. Government doesn't need to intervene in the market. That is a basic idea, right? So competition is very high. Government intervention is not required. Second, private sector, if they are using resources, if they're using labor, if they're investing, right, let's say to purchase machinery, don't you think they will make the best utilization of these resources? Utmost utilization, efficient utilization of resources. So utilization of resources is very, very efficient. Of course, because the logic is if you utilize the resources much more efficiently, you'll earn more profit. That's a logic here. Third one, market becomes a very, very efficient because of competition, because of supply as well as demand. Next, production will increase. Investment is expected to increase. In fact, I've written it separately. Have a look at this. Investment in research and development, investment in new technologies, investment in purchasing, right? Let's say new machines, etc. Investment is going to increase. Employment is going to increase. Production of goods and services is going to increase. All of them are beneficial for the economy. Consumers will be given prominence. Consumers are given the prominence here. Right, so these are certain very important merits of economy, which is basically called as the capitalism. Can we go forward now? Can we go forward? Explain purchasing once more, my dear. Because you have money, you will decide what you want to purchase in capitalism. Is it okay? Because you have money, you have the purchasing power. You will decide what you want to purchase. Right? That is the purchasing power. Okay. What is R&D? R&D is basically research and development. It is research and development. Okay, research and development. Okay, done. Let me go forward. Having said so, is it the best model? Is it the best model for right any economy? For example, can Indian economy adopt capitalism? I said Indian economy is a mixed economy. So is capitalism always having only positive aspects related to that? Are there any concerns related to the model of capitalism? Of course, yes. Point number one, think of it. In capitalism, owners will invest money. All of you okay? Owners will invest money. If they are investing money, profits will go to whom? Profits will go to the owners. Correct? Profits will go to the owners. As a result of this, can I say there will be income inequality as well as a wealth inequality in the economy? I'll explain to you. Listen to me very carefully. There are two terms. One is called as wealth and the other one is basically income. Right? Most of you think both are one and the same. No, both are not one and the same. Wealth basically refers to certain assets which are held by the people. Wealth refers to how much assets you have. Whereas income is what is your salary, what is your wages, etc. If I want to give you an example, imagine you're an IS officer. Okay, imagine you're an IS officer. You will have, let's say, 2 bungalows, your own, not the government given. Imagine you're an IS officer, you have 2 bungalows and 10 hectare of land. And monthly you will earn, right, let's say 1.5 lakh rupees salary. All of you okay with the difference between wealth and income? Let me know. All of you okay with the difference between wealth and income, right? These are your wealth. This is part of your wealth. Whereas the salary that you earn is income. Right? Some of you are saying, no, my dear, what is the problem? Please tell me, what is the problem? Wealth refers to assets. Right? Don't you think 10 hectares of land is your asset? 1 kg of gold that you have is your asset. Can you say 1 kg of gold is your income? Then income tax officials will come to your home. Be very, very careful. Right? So wealth is nothing but the total of assets you have. Income is how much is your salary. Now, let me know, because of capitalism, will there be income inequality as well as wealth inequality present in the economy or not? Let me know. Because of capitalism, will there be income inequality? Yes. Will there be wealth inequality? Yes. Sir, any example? My dear, USA. In case of USA, is there income inequality? Yes. Is there wealth inequality? Yes. Right. So one, concentration of wealth. Concentration means rich people will get all the wealth like this. Right. Income inequality will also be present. Harmful goods are also produced in order to earn profit, such as tobacco, such as alcohol, right, such as machine guns, etc. And some of you asked me earlier, sir, if tobacco is harmful, if alcohol is harmful, why is the government of India allowing the sales of it? My dear, there is an ulterior motive. There is a motive for government, both center as well as state. They will impose and collect a lot of taxes. Simple. They will impose and collect a lot of taxes on the sale of tobacco products, on the sale of alcoholic products. That is the reason government will generally allow, I'll not say promote, never say government will promote, government will allow the sale of such harmful goods. Right? Class conflict. What do you mean by class conflict? Have you seen certain situations? Again, right, I'm not promoting it. Have you seen or not where in a village, in let's say certain society, people are divided into rich class as well as poor classes? Yes or no? Right? People are divided into rich class and poor classes. Right? That is, poor people will not be allowed into this, will not be allowed to do this. You're not allowed to enter into this, etc., etc. So this classification is possible because of capitalism. And why is this classification happening? Because obviously in capitalism, there is a small population which is very, very rich, very, very rich, ultra rich. And on the other side, large population which is very, very poor. So this kind of a classification is done in the society. And as a result of this, have you seen certain situations where conflict will arise? Conflict will arise. For example, Naxalism. Right? What do you think is the root cause of Naxalism? Think of it. Right? What do you think is the root cause of Naxalism? That is basically the two classes. There is a clash between two classes. Right? So I hope you understand. Class conflict arise because of capitalism. And finally, business cycle. There's a concept called as business cycle. Please read growth, slowdown, recession, etc. But please read the last line here, last part of the statement. Do not keep on asking what do you mean by recession now. Do not keep on asking what do you mean by slowdown now. I'll cover it. Where? Please look at the statement here. We will discuss this, not today, but maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow. When I take up GDP, I'll tell you what you mean by recession. I will tell you what you mean by slowdown, growth, etc. Right? Do not worry about business cycle right now. We'll discuss it later. Done? Right? So this is basically the model of capitalism. So I've discussed what do you mean by capitalism? What are the expected positive outcomes? Merits means what? Positive outcomes of capitalism, as well as the concerns or issues related to capitalism. Now think of it and do let me know. Is it the best suitable scenario for Indian economy? Do you think Indian economy should adopt capitalism? In fact, this was asked by UPSC. This was asked by UPSC only in the mains examination, by the way. Do you think capitalism best suited model for Indian economy? Absolutely no. Why? Already there is huge amount of income inequality, wealth inequality. In this situation, you want to promote capitalism? Absolutely no. Absolutely no. It's not suited for Indian economy. Anyways, let me go to the second one. Right? Let me go to the second one, socialism. Okay, let me go to the second one, socialism. Okay, now, what is the model of socialism? Model is very simple. If government will decide how much goods are produced, what kind of goods are produced, right? Where the goods are sold, at what prices the goods are sold, etc. If the central problems of the economy are solved by the government, such a model is called as socialism. All of you okay with this? I'll repeat it again. It is a type of economy where it's a system where the government will decide what to produce, the government will decide how much to produce, government will decide at what price to be sold, etc. Such a model is called as socialism. Any problem with the model? Let me know. Any problem with the basic idea of a socialism? Now, what are the features? What are the features of socialism? What are the features? Again, please understand, today we do not have a country with pure socialism. Pure socialism we generally don't get. Right? The country which is very close or which was very close to socialism was former Soviet Union, USSR, former Soviet Union, China also. Right? They followed principles of socialism, but if you ask me, sir, today China, do they follow socialism? No, my dear. Today China doesn't follow socialism. Why? In China, is there private sector present or not? I hope you understand. Is there a presence of private sector in China today? Because earlier, right, in fact, a version of right, the idea of a socialism was used, which is called as Maoism. Now, don't start studying about Maoism for economics, not needed. But post 1985, they started opening up the economy. Right, they initially introduced the model called as a limited open door policy, etc., etc. But today, please understand, today, right, China is not purely a socialistic country. Right, they follow a lot of these features which are available in capitalism also. That's basically the idea of a mixed model. So let me start. What are the features? The resources are owned by the government. Right? Government will control the resources. Government will decide, right, what to produce, who will produce, at what price they will sell, etc., etc. The central planning is done. What do you mean by central planning? The government will plan, government will implement, government will ensure that everything is achieved through government policies. Right? Everything will be achieved through government policies. That's a basic model of central planning, central command economy. Some of the times they will use the term command economy. What do you mean by command economy? Everything is done by the government itself. Everything is done by the government. Everything is controlled by the government. Right? So what is the reason? Why does economy follow model of socialism? Understand the logic here. Earlier there was capitalism. Right? Initially, to begin with, there was capitalism. Now, around the world, we started realizing that capitalism leads to income inequality. Capitalism leads to wealth inequality. Now, there was a concern. If you adopt a model of capitalism, wealth inequality is going to be there. Some population or very small population will become very rich. Large population will continue to remain poor. So, as a reaction, I'll repeat the statement. As a reaction, as an opposition to capitalism, there was one more model which is called as socialism. In socialism, the model said government will not work for profit. I hope you understand. Government doesn't run behind profit. Government will promote welfare. Is the logic okay with all of you? Government is not going to work for profit. Private sector will do that. Government will not run behind profit here. Government will promote welfare of the people. How? Government will invest. Very simple. For example, let's say hypothetically, this bottle has to be manufactured. Understand with an example. In capitalism, private sector, that is, let's say a businessman will invest money, set up a manufacturing facility, take away the profit. Whereas in case of socialism, government says no. Government will invest money, right? Let's say they will set up a company. The company will manufacture the bottle, sell it, right, to the people, maybe at affordable prices. Maybe there is no guarantee. Maybe at affordable prices. But government is not going to run behind profits here. That's the whole idea of a socialism. Right? So government will promote socialism for promotion of welfare. Absence of competition because government will control everything. Private sector, if at all, in many of the economies, I hope you understand, many of the economies, private sector will not be allowed. Again, socialism only. Or in many of the economies, the government will decide a very limited participation of the private sector. Okay. What is the advantage? What is the merit of socialism? First one, inequalities will not be there. Again, wealth inequalities will be reduced. Income inequalities, although they will be there. I hope you understand my point here. In case of socialism, we are trying to address wealth inequalities. Income inequalities will be present even in socialism. If you ask me, sir, how is that possible? How is that in case of socialism, income inequalities are present? Let me give a very simple example. Imagine there is a country which follows socialism. They will set up a company to manufacture this bottle. A simple question to all of you. Will every worker in the company be paid the same salary? Think of it. Will everyone in the company be paid the same salary? No, that's not possible. That's not right, correct also. So don't you think even in socialism, wealth inequalities may not be there, but income inequalities will be present? All of you are okay with this, right? A manager will be paid a higher salary and a floor worker will be paid lower salary. Income inequality is there, but wealth inequality will not be there, right? So the idea of socialism is to address the issue of wealth inequality. Allocation of resources based on the requirement of the society. Government will produce goods, will invest money based on what kind of goods or services are needed in the economy, right? You might want tobacco, you might want, let's say, alcoholic products. If government feels that is not needed, they will not allocate resources to produce them. So government will decide what is needed for the society and they will allocate resources accordingly, right? And promotion of social welfare is also an advantage of a socialism. But having said so, is it the best model then? Is socialism the best model? Should India shift to socialism? Are there any concerns? Let's address it. First one, red tapeism and bureaucracy. Red tapeism and bureaucracy. Now, before you start asking me, sir, what do you mean by red tapeism? Have a look at this. Red tapeism, rules or regulations or guidelines that are unnecessary and that will cause a lot of delays. Right? What do you mean by red tapeism? Very often the term red tapeism is used in the context of government also. Right? That is Indian government, state governments, etc. But what do you mean by red tapeism? There are certain rules or guidelines which are implemented by the government, but they will cause a lot of delays. They will cause unnecessary delays. What do you mean by that? Sir, what do you mean by this? I'll give a very simple example. Earlier, I repeat, earlier, if you wanted to open a manufacturing facility in India, you were supposed to get certain approvals from the central government, certain approvals from the state government. Now imagine you're supposed to get, let's say, 10 approvals from the center and 5 approvals from the state. Don't you think you will have to run from one department to another department, one ministry to another ministry? Now think of it and do let me know, if this happens, will it cause unnecessary delays or not? Can it lead to corruption in the system? Can it lead to harassment of the business class, etc.? Right? Or let's say even people also. Right? Sir, how can you talk about private sector in socialism? I'll give you another example. Imagine in socialism only, government wants to allocate a house for you. Government wants you to construct a house. But for that to happen, government will say, you'll have to submit 5 documents. Very simple. You'll have to submit 5 documents. Now to get these 5 documents, you'll have to go to 5 different authorities. And if you have any experience of getting documents from government officials, you will know how difficult it is to get these kind of documents from government officials. You will go to one government official, the government official will say, I'm busy, come tomorrow. You will go to another government official, that official will say, for this to be issued, I need one more document, please go get that other document. You will run to get the other document also, etc., etc. All of this will create delays, will create harassment, can also lead to corruption in the system. So all of you okay with the term red tapeism? Right? So because in socialism, everything is done by the government. Government means what? Officials, bureaucrats. Right? You people, once you become IS officers, IPS officers, you're part of bureaucracy now. So once bureaucracy gets a prominence, becomes so important, right? So that can lead to red tapeism. Lot of delays, a lot of unnecessary approvals are required. It can lead to corruption in the system, etc. Right? So absence of incentives for efficiency, hence productivity will suffer. What do you mean by this? Right? Imagine only one company is there in the economy. To produce this bottle, only one company set up by government. Now tell me, if it is a government-owned company, is it focused on efficiency? Will it be focused on, right, let's say, usage of resources efficiently? Generally, that kind of a focus is absent. I'll give you examples also. Right? If you say, no, sir, that's not possible, you're wrong, etc. Have you heard of the company BSNL? Or another company, Air India? Both, right? Both were earlier owned by Government of India. BSNL even today is owned by Government of India. Air India has been sold to Tata Company. Now, one thing that you have read about BSNL and Air India, if you have read carefully, one thing that will be very common is both are loss-making companies. All of you will agree with me? Both are loss-making. Government of India realized that, okay, Air India continuously I'm incurring losses. What is the point of owning it? Let me sell it to somebody else. BSNL even today it is loss-making. Even today it is loss-making. Government of India last year, in fact, has announced a large amount of package to BSNL. to provide it assistance to ensure that it will remain functioning. So I hope you understand. Again, please do not generalize my statements. Not generalize. Don't say, in that case, does every entity owned by government of India incur losses? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. And there's a particular reason why many of these companies which are owned by the government will incur losses. What is the reason? One is absence of competition. Right? One, the most important reason is absence of competition. If government will decide only BSNL will function, no private sector is allowed, where is the competition to BSNL? Is the logic okay with all of you? Where is the competition? There is no competition. And if there is no competition, the company might become very much relaxed. No competition, whatever we produce, people will have to purchase, etc., etc. So there could be a situation where because of right the government ownership, because of right social welfare measure, because of absence of focus on the profits, because of no competition, these companies might incur losses. Right. So these are all basically the concern regarding the idea of socialism. And finally, limited freedom of choice. I told you, I gave you example of tobacco products earlier, alcoholic product earlier. If government will decide this is not needed for the society, we will remove them. This is not needed, we will simply remove them. Then in such a case, right, don't you think even though you might have money, you might not have the freedom to consume whatever you want. That freedom to purchase, right, that is limited. It is limited by the government policies. Done? Right. So these are certain concerns, or let's say the demerits related to the model of socialism. Right. So let me go forward now. But again, please understand, I was looking at some of your comments. Some of you are not right. You are concerned about certain basic terms, right, which are not economic terms. If you ask me, right, let's say discuss about bureaucratic problems in India, my dear, I'm economic faculty. Right, I'm an economics faculty. Bureaucracy comes under the concept of polity, comes under public, right? Our PSI are optional, right? Our public administration. So bureaucracy should not be discussed in economics. Some are asking what is incentive, and there are two students who are asking what is income, right? So I hope you understand these kind of terminologies are very common. Haven't you heard the term salary? Have you not heard the term income also? Right? So I hope you understand. So mixed economy, third model, mixed economy. After this, we'll take a break. Okay. What is basically idea of a mixed economy? Right? Best example for mixed economy is India. Let me start with the basic idea, then you'll understand. In case of India, can we see that in certain sectors, it is only the government of India which will provide the goods to the economy? Sir, any example? Nuclear energy. Think of it, nuclear energy. So far, right, the government of India tightly controls nuclear energy, or for that matter, until very recently, railways. Think of it, until very recently, railways, who provided all the services in the railways? Government of India provided all of it. But now later we'll discuss this. Don't worry. Later, right, we'll discuss this. Now, even private sector entities are allowed in railways. Right? Private sector entities are also allowed in railways. Why so? What is the advantage? Right? To what extent it is feasible? We'll discuss that later. Have patience. This is my first class. But atomic energy, who will control the atomic energy sector in India? It is the government of India. Government of India controls atomic energy. So is it okay if I say in some of the sectors, who will produce goods and services? Who will sell these goods and services? Only government of India will do that. Or generally government will do that. On the other side, there are certain sectors where government is not present. Only private sector is present. Best example, civil aviation. Have you heard the company names in civil aviation sector or civil aviation industry? For example, right, Air India. Air India until now was owned by government of India. Now it is private sector. Have you heard SpiceJet, Indigo company, etc.? In civil aviation market, every entity or every service provider is a private sector company. What is the role of government there? Government doesn't provide the services in civil aviation. Only private sector does it now. So there are certain sectors, only private sector is present. Government has withdrawn completely from the sector. And the third one, there are certain sectors where both government and private sector both are present. Best example, telecom sector. Correct? In telecom sector, is it okay if I say both government as well as private sector are providing services? Anybody has a problem here? So I hope you understand. You will have a mix. Mix means what? Mixed economy means what? You will have a mixture of both government as well as private sector. Basic idea, right? In certain areas, both government and private sector are present. In certain areas, only government is present. In certain areas, only private sector is present. But please understand, Very important. Please understand this. Whether government will be present or private sector will be present, who will decide it? The decision is always with the government. Is it okay? The decision is always with the government. Right? For example, I'll give a very simple example. In telecom sector, Arey Baba, and some of you, please read, no, please read. General knowledge. General knowledge is very, very important. Right? There are two students who are asking, how come in telecom sector, both government and private sector are present? My dear, please tell me, BSNL, is it government owned entity or private sector owned entity? Think of it. Right? BSNL, is it government owned, private sector owned? It's government owned. Whereas Jio, Reliance Jio, is it government or private? It's private. So don't you think both are present in the telecom sector? But please understand this. Whether private sector is allowed or not allowed, only government will provide or not provide, all of this, the control is with the government. For example, tomorrow can government of India announce, again, it's not going to happen. I'm just saying hypothetically. Tomorrow, can government of India announce that all the telecom sector companies, the government will purchase the ownership and only government will provide telecommunications? Can government do that? Do they have the power? Of course, yes. They have the power. Have they done it earlier? Some of us saying no. My dear, please understand. Government can do that. They have the power. I'll give a very simple example. Air India. Air India, right? You know that earlier it was owned by Government of India. Earlier. Now it is owned by Tata company. But who started Air India? If you look at the evolution of civil aviation market, who started Air India in India? It was started by Tata company. So I hope you understand this. It was started by Tata company. The ownership was taken by Government of India. And now, again, it has been sold to Tata company. So I hope you understand when I say, can Government of India tomorrow basically start purchasing all the private sector companies' ownership and say, only I will provide the goods or services? They can do that. They can do that. And please remember the term, the right term that you need to use is called as nationalization. There are two terms here. Please remember this. One is called as privatization. Second one is called as nationalization. Privatization and nationalization. What do you mean by nationalization? Ownership will be transferred from private sector to the government. Any problem here? Nationalization means ownership will be transferred from private sector to government. And privatization means ownership will be transferred from the government to private sector. Please remember this. Please remember this. Sir, any examples of privatization? Any example of privatization? Air India. Air India is the best example of privatization. Any example of nationalization? Air India. Earlier, Government of India took over the ownership. But apart from Air India, any other example? Banking nationalization was done. What do you mean by banking nationalization? The banks which were owned by the private sector, the ownership was taken away by the government. Very simple. Ownership was taken away. Coal mining was nationalized. Right? So there are many examples in the history or let's say economic evolution of India. Privatization also has been done. Nationalization also has been done. Okay. Now come back to the idea of a mixed economy. What are the features? Ownership of means of production is with both government as well as the private sector. Instead of government, I've written term public sector as well as private sector. Solutions to the economic problems such as who will produce it, what will be produced, how many goods will be produced, at what prices will be sold. Solutions will be provided by both private as well as government. Private sector has certain freedom, but overall control is always with the government. Private sector no doubt has freedom, but the control is always with the government. Government can change the policies. Right? What are the advantages or the merits of such an economy? One, we'll be able to produce more and more goods and services, employ more and more people. Right? The overall production of Indian economy will start increasing. That is growth in terms of production. Second, balanced growth. What do you mean by balanced growth here? Just think of it. Can Government of India, through their policies, promote growth, promote employment of weaker sections of society? Participate. Do let me know. Many are asking for break. After this, I'll give you a break. Please don't worry. Don't worry about the break. I'll repeat my question. Can Government of India, through its policies, through its industries, promote employment, promote production of goods and services in specific regions? Can promote employment to certain sections of the society? Of course, yes. Right. So can I call it as a balanced growth? Can I call it as balanced? Balanced means all the sections of the society, will be taken care. Just to borrow the phrase of the current government, again, just to borrow, Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. Have you heard of this? Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas. So we will promote growth, right? But we will take care of everyone in the economy, right? That's a basic model of mixed economy. Proper utilization of resources, because private sector is present, will promote proper utilization. Okay. Government will protect the interest of all the sections of the society, whether you're poor, whether you're rich, doesn't matter. All the sections of the society, their interest will be protected by the government. Now, what are the concerns? What are the concerns? What are the demerits of such a model? Right? For example, India only. Right? We are following mixed economy right from 1948. So, what have been the concerns or issues related to this? One, public sector is given prominence because government is going to produce goods and services. Public sector will get prominence, but it's not guaranteed that public sector, that is nothing but the companies owned by the government, will always work efficiently. There is no guarantee of it. Right? The best example is Air India. Best example is BSNL. So there is no guarantee that even though government is going to provide certain goods and services, there is no guarantee that the companies owned by the government will be working efficiently. Right? There is no guarantee. Fear of nationalization. Right? That is generally, if government of India wants to do that, can they go for nationalization at any point of time? In the past, they have done it. In the future also, they could do it, or they may do it. So there could be a concern amongst the investors that government might change the policies and right, transfer the ownership of private sector to itself. So there is a concern. I'm not saying they will do it. I'm saying there is generally a fear in a model such as mixed economy. And finally, income inequality as well as wealth inequality. Income as well as wealth inequality will be present in a model of mixed economy, right? Best example, India. So don't you think in case of India, there is income inequality as well as wealth inequality? Yes, both are present in Indian economy, right? So all these are certain demerits associated with mixed economy. Okay. Any problem with this? Why there is inefficiency in the public sector? My dear, it could happen because private sector, in order to earn profit, they might invest a lot of money, get better technology, use the resources much better, which may or may not be matched by the government owned entities. For example, take the example of Air India. Right? Don't you think Air India had aeroplanes? Of course, yes, they had aeroplanes. They had pilots, yes. They had, right, let's say, other people to provide services, of course, yes. But even then, why were they incurring losses? Because they were not able to match in terms of quality, in terms of pricing, etc., the competition that was given by the private sector. So I hope you understand the logic here. Even though the government is present, there's no guarantee. There's no guarantee that public sector will always perform better. There's no guarantee. They might incur losses as well. Or else, best example, BSNL. If you want to understand, just ask your parents or let's say your grandparents how easy or difficult it was to get a telephone landline connection from BSNL, right? Let's say 25 years ago. Just ask them 25 years ago, that is post 1995, 96, or even beginning of 2000, how easy or difficult it was to get a telephone landline connection from BSNL. Very, very difficult. Very difficult. Now, let's look at BSNL. You think of it. How many of you have a BSNL SIM card with you? How many of you are using BSNL landline services today? Most of you will jump to Jio. Most of you will take take up a V or etc. etc. So I hope you understand. The government-owned entities may not be in a position to compete with the private sector. As a result of it, they might start incurring losses. Okay, done. Right. So these are the merits and demerits as well as the features related to mixed economy. Okay. Any problem? Can we go forward? Can we go forward? Next is the concept of opportunity cost. Before that, let me take a break. Right? Or before that, let me address the questions. Right, put forward by you people. Land means anything which is naturally available, but agriculture output is also produced or cultivated by us humans. Then how does it come under land? My dear, again, the argument remains the same. Even if you don't cultivate, even if you don't sow the seeds, naturally the cultivation will take place. I hope you understand my point, right? You don't have to grow. Automatically in the nature, it will grow, right? So I hope you understand. Because of that, we call it as, or we consider that as a part of land. What do you mean by hectare? My dear, have you heard of acre and hectare? Acre and hectare. Have you heard of this or not? Right? Acre and hectare are the units of measurement. For a land. We measure the volume of the land in terms of acres or hectares. Okay. 2.5 acres is equal to 1 hectare. Sir, we can also make certain minerals in labs. Is it not violation in this concept? No, right? The idea of making them in the laboratory, right? For example, lab grown diamonds is a very novel concept. You understand traditionally it is considered as a part of land only. Okay. Which economic system is better? Please understand there is no concept of which is best, which is better, etc. It varies based on what country is looking to adopt this model. For example, let me ask you a very simple question. For Indian economy, between capitalism, socialism, and mixed economy, which one do you think is better suited for Indian economy? I hope you understand. For Indian economy, which is better suited, right? It is basically the idea of a mixed economy, which is better suited for us. So, from one country to another country, in what situation, what kind of social structure the economy has, based on that, the adoption will differ. Okay. Okay. What do you mean by privatization? Why privatization, nationalization will take place from one time period to another time period based on the government requirement, based on the policies of the government. Either they can go for nationalization or they can go for privatization. Why they have done it, right? Why it was done in banking sector, why it is being done in railways, etc., etc. We'll understand when I take up railways as well as banking. Please don't worry. Fear of nationalism is merit also to work properly by the private sector, not necessarily. Fear of nationalization, I've written it in the demerit because the private sector is going to invest a lot of money. Suddenly, if the government of India will change the policy and say, I will take over the ownership, I will take over the ownership and give you money, that's it, right? I'll take over the company and I'll give you money. And so private sector has invested a lot of money. They are searching for profits not only today but in the future also. But they are given money today and the ownership is transferred. So that is the reason I said fear of nationalization will always be present in private sector whenever you are following a mixed economy model. Wealth inequality is concerned in socialism. Please understand, even in socialism, you can purchase certain assets such as land because you have money. But the idea of a wealth which is created by using factors of production. I hope you understand this. Sir, in socialism, I earned a salary and I used it to purchase land. Done. Right? But in socialism, the wealth inequality that could be created because of usage of factors of production will be limited. You are not allowed to invest and start a company. Right? That kind of a wealth creation is not going to take place in socialism. Okay. Done. Let's take a break then. Let's take a break. I'll restart at 7:05. I'll restart the session at 7:05 p.m. Okay. Join me after 15 minutes.